From Los Angeles, I'm Eddie Garcia. He's Doug Stolhand. Thanks for joining us for another edition of the Puck Podcast. It is Monday, August 11th, 2025. This is the first period of a three-period podcast. The first period, which some of you are watching on YouTube, will cover all the news from the past week in the NHL. In the second period, our interview or special feature segment will be coming your way. We continue our off-season project where we look at all 32 NHL teams if their roster was made up of active players that the team has drafted. And in the third period, it's our fan feedback show where we read listener emails. We have our off ice report telling you about what's going on in our lives. All three periods are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcast. If you like what you're seeing, also please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Get notified when our latest shows are out.
A thumbs up on YouTube also helps out the algorithm quite a bit and helps us grow the channel as well. This is our 20th season of doing the Puck Podcast, our 994th consecutive week of releasing the show, no matter what. As you can probably tell from recent shows, there's not a lot of news in the month of August, but we are still here every week to get you caught up on whatever happens around the league, and we focus on all 32 teams equally. So wherever the biggest story is, that's where we start. And for that, I turn it back over to my co-host and my good friend, Eddie Garcia.
And because of that, there really isn't a big story from the past week. There are a lot of little tiny notes and a few interesting things just to kind of throw out there, but there is no real big story that I saw. We're also just kind of waiting to see, I guess, when is Connor McDavid going to sign his contract? Or maybe Kirill Kaprizov. They're the two biggest names out there that are going to be UFAs after the upcoming season. And I think that we're waiting to see what is the contract they're going to get, how long are they going to sign for, and will that set the market for the other dominoes to fall in behind them. So we'll see. I don't know when that will start. I don't know if you have a guess on when you think maybe that will happen. If it's going to be until training camp, starts to get going or what. But do you agree that we're waiting to see where where the bar is set with guys like McDavid and Kaprizov?
No, I would not agree. I don't think the bar for McDavid is the top. I mean, he's the best player in hockey. He's going to get the biggest contract in hockey. So I don't think he's going to redefine. Nobody can compare themselves to him and say, well, he got that much, so I'm worth this much. But Kaprizov is an interesting one, but I'm not thinking there's a timeline on either one of them. They will both be done before July 1st, which is when they would become a UFA. I have no expectation that it'll be done before training camp or before the season necessarily. I'm sure each team would prefer that just to avoid the questions that they would get pretty commonly every practice, every game, whatever. But I don't think either team is in any urgency, nor is either player. They've got another 9-10 months before it's a pressing matter. So I don't think either side is going to blank at this point and give in to the other's demands. I do expect both to be re-signed by their teams before July 1st. Neither will ever make it to free agency.
Well, I agree that no one is going to say, Connor McDavid's getting X, so I deserve Y necessarily, as far as saying you compare to him. But isn't it the whole was it the rising tide lifts all boats or whatever? If they're setting a new ceiling, doesn't that affect the other players behind them?
Yes and no. I mean, again, when you go into a negotiation, let's say Nathan MacKinnon, you can make the argument that I'm in the upper echelon of players, and if he's getting 15 million a year, I should be getting 13 million a year, 14 million, or whatever the case is. So yes, it does, but ultimately it's the salary cap that's going up that is raising all the ships. That's the tide. When we're going up another 10 million in the next year or two per team, and the floor goes up as well, suddenly a $5 million contract is almost a slap in the face to a player of value. And whereas a couple of years ago, that was a good contract for a player, getting that where the salary cap was in the $80 million range. And now it's going to be in the low hundreds. It's going to be a much different ballgame. So I think collectively, contracts are going to be viewed differently after this season, certainly. But I think already starting, knowing that what the salary cap is going to be doing. And I think teams are struggling with that right now with some of their RFAs. We know Luke Hughes, Mason McTavish, Marco Rossi, some other players are not in arbitration rights and are struggling to get that new contract done, because I think the comparison of a player 2 years ago and what they signed is no longer valid in that sense. So when Connor McDavid signs his deal and becomes the highest paid player in hockey, which he should, I think it'll certainly affect other contracts because things will slot in below him. But I think Kaprizov is the more interesting comparison because he's not the best player in the world. He's a very good player. He's not accomplished anything as far as league-wide results, as far as MVP or scoring titles or anything like that. So what he gets could define a few players, certainly in arbitration and certainly in free agent negotiations.
If you're wondering about free agents that are still available, there is a list of recognizable names. Jack Roslovic would probably be the top one. Max Pacioretty, Victor Olofsson, Robbie Fabry, Luke Cunnin amongst the forwards. Defensemen, you've got Matt Grzelcyk, Jan Ruda, Calvin DeHaan. And as far as goalies, Ilya Samsonov, James Reimer, Alexander Georgiev, some names that are still out there that have yet to get a contract for next season.
I would imagine, how we see every season when training camp starts, there's no report right now on the health status of players, right? We get every now and then we get something about Matthew Tkachuk or something like that. And he's going to be out until Christmas because of a surgery, or a player is having a surgery and then will be out a certain amount of time. But for the most part, we don't know what the health status of our favorite teams is. But when training camp starts next month and players are not participating, then we will know. And then I think we'll see a lot of those guys get signed, because I'm sure teams are waiting to see how rehab goes over the summer, how players progress. And if they come into camp and the problem is still there, then obviously then it's something you might need to sign a depth player like a Roslovic or a Pacioretty or a Cunnin to help fill out the roster until that player gets healthy.
There is some business still being conducted. There were a couple of signings this week. The Avalanche signed forward Joel Kiviranta to a 1-year deal, $1.25 million. He's left winger. He's 29 years old. Nathan Bastian signed a 1-year deal with the Stars for $775,000. He's a right winger. He's 27. William Villeneuve, 1 year, $700,000 with the Maple Leafs. He's a 23-year-old defenseman. The Ducks signed forward Sam Colangelo, and is it Tim Washy?
Tim Wash.
Tim Wash. Okay, no silent E on the end. They each get 2-year contracts. Colangelo, $850,000. Wash, $812,000. And the Islanders signed their number 1 overall pick. Matthew Schaefer gets a 3-year entry-level deal. Toronto Marlies signed forward Alex Nylander to a 1-year deal. And longtime NHL player Jimmy Vesey has signed over in Switzerland. Former Hobey Baker winner with Harvard, 626 career NHL games over 9 seasons for the Rangers, Sabres, Maple Leafs, Canucks, Devils, and Avalanche. And 2-time Stanley Cup winner Kyle Clifford announced his retirement after 13 seasons. Won a couple of titles with the LA Kings 2012, 2014. He played the last few seasons in the AHL with the Toronto Marlies, now reportedly joining the Maple Leafs in a player development role. He had 757 career NHL games for the Kings, Maple Leafs, and Blues. He had 66 goals and 144 points.
We may be hearing about Jimmy Vesey in the second period. Just teasing that, because a couple of the teams I had to work on were not great at drafting players. Let's put it that way. They have not put a lot of people in the NHL. So we'll take a look at them in the second period. But no, it's when you see players, and I know from the Colangelo and Wash signings that those guys are going to be fighting for jobs in camp. Obviously, anybody signing for around $1 million, less than $2 million a year, I don't think you're guaranteed a spot on an NHL roster when you're making less than 2% of the salary cap. So I think that we're seeing a lot of the depth moves get signed now. Teams wrapping things up. As we've said in recent weeks, not only is this a slow time for the media, but I think a lot of the team front offices take this as a break as well. I don't know that GMs, as much as we like to think they're spending every waking moment in the office figuring out how to improve their team, I think they are taking a break as well, spending some time with their families, because once training camp starts, they don't do that. They're pretty much at the rink every day, at the office every day, on the phone every day. So I think August is a good time for GMs around the league, front offices around the league, to spend some time with their families and get away from the game a little bit. So there may be a little bit less urgency to get deals signed.
A few little news and notes from around the hockey world. We may have a new hockey movie to review at some point. Alexander Ovechkin, the NHL's all-time goal-scoring leader, has partnered with a Russian technology company to produce some sort of movie about his career, either a movie or a series or a documentary. But apparently, he has given his blessing, and whatever this company is has given him the right numbers to get him to sign off on a movie about his life. So I don't know if that means. I think we all know it's coming to an end sooner rather than later.
His
But
life?
no, his career. I don't have any information on that. Maybe you have some news on that.
Well, you just let off with, I think we all know it's coming to an end, and you said a movie about
Well,
his
you didn't
life.
let me finish. I mean, clearly I was not going there. You would go there because you're twisted and sick. But Ovechkin apparently signing off this. I don't know if this will be something we can watch in the United States or not. Well, subtitles. I don't know, but we'll see if we have a Great Eight documentary at some point. There's got to be somebody though that the NHL can put out something. I'm sure without him, necessarily signing off on it, right? I mean, he's a part of their company, so if they wanted to put together some sort of a special documentary, I'm sure they'd be able to do that.
They could put together footage of his career, but
Right.
not a movie about his life. No.
Right. They're not going to hire actors, and
Right.
who would I would say who would play Alexander Ovechkin? I don't know.
I think it's going to be like the Jackie Robinson story.
He's going to play his own self.
He's going to play himself. I think that would be the who better to play Alexander Ovechkin than him. And if you're going to find an actor, good luck. I mean, the guy better be able to play some hockey, because we hate to see the actor taking the ice and then nothing but close-ups of the skates or shots from behind him and stuff like that.
We never did the Tooth Fairy. I don't know if The Rock can skate or not. I'm curious. I'm sure the any kind of great stick handling or skating, it was just a close up of his feet and it was someone else doing it.
Right.
But can he even get on the ice and look like a halfway decent hockey player? Like, for example, Robert Redford was a very believable hockey player when he did Slapshot. And now those other guys were all played hockey at some point somewhere. So they were actors / with some hockey background. But I thought he actually pulled it off pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, he was fine. I would imagine The Rock could, because he's an elite athlete. The guy is incredibly athletic and coordinated.
We've seen though players from other sports try and get out on the ice, and it's definitely different.
Yes, but if you're doing a movie, I imagine he would commit himself to learning how to skate at least a little bit. Spend some weeks or months learning how to skate, as opposed to going out there for a one-off to do something, a segment for TNT or ESPN. So, like I said, he's an elite athlete. The guy played football and was an accomplished wrestler. So I have no doubt that if he committed himself to learning how to skate, he would be able to do it pretty well. And what an intimidating force on the ice he would be.
I'm sure he got he would get some pretty good instruction from someone as well.
Correct.
And we all know what an amazing job Jean-Claude Van Damme did as a goalie in sudden death. I mean,
he saved the Penguins season, stepping in, not only saving the vice president's life, not only killing the Penguins mascot, he saved the Penguins season in net with some big time saves.
As you would expect, anybody from Brussels. I mean, they
especially a guy that's
hockey factory,
about 5'6", 5'7" at the most. He looks like Darren Payne out there. What happened to our goalie? The guy's standing up and he looks like he's in the butterfly position.
Well, we'll look forward to the Ovechkin movie. We'll see about that.
I don't know if I'd look forward to it.
No?
No.
The cover of NHL 26, the popular EA Sports video game, will feature the Kachucks. Not only Matthew and Brady, but Dad Keith as well on the cover of the video game that is coming out on September the 12th. Interesting little decision on that one. And by the way, we talked about it last week, but Matthew Tkachuk has officially come out to say that he may miss the first few months of the season. Apparently, he hasn't made a final decision yet on surgery. But if he does have surgery, then he will miss 2 to 3 months to start the season.
I mean, as we talked about
I
last
don't
week,
know.
what's the negative? Let me
I
try and
agree. I
rehab
mean,
this and then have it flare up again during the season. Or I can have a surgery, have it fixed, take some time to get better, and be better for the second half of the season.
no, I totally agree with you. I would also just say it's a lot easier for us to tell someone else to have a surgery, when it's not us and we don't have to go through the rehab and all that kind of stuff. But you're also a professional athlete, and this is
Right,
the life you've chosen, and you kind of
right.
understand this is kind of the way it goes. So I do agree with you that why not go ahead and get it fixed to the best of your ability, rest up. They don't need you to start the season, and
No,
take care of it. So
your body is your occupation. If a NASCAR driver has a bad thing, something going wrong in the car, they're not just like, just get it good enough. No, they would fix it for the next race, especially when there's time. In mid-race, yes, you just fight through it. But I don't get I get why he played through it last season. It was the playoffs. It was the Stanley Cup final. I get that. There's no reason not to get the surgery, in my opinion, unless there is unless the doctors are telling you we're not sure the surgery will fix it, or there could be some side effect that would affect you long term. Otherwise, go ahead and get it. What's the problem?
do you remember the last time you bought the EA NHL game? I think the last time I got it was Austin Matthews on the cover for some reason, but I haven't bought it in quite a long time and don't anticipate. I mean, I first of all, I don't play video games as much as I used to. I just
Right.
don't kind of have the time. But that was certainly a game I enjoyed playing. But it's one of those things where I used to buy it every year just to kind of have the roster updates.
Yeah.
But at this point, it's like I can play the old one. It's no big, just for the game's sake. I don't know that they advance it that much where it's like, oh, I have to get the new one because this one is unbelievable. It's kind of at a level where it's hard to level it up, so to
Well,
speak.
right. It's incremental progress, and there's not the huge jumps that we saw back in the 90s when technology was booming and things were getting much better, much faster. So I agree. I think if you put a game in right now and told me to guess what year it was, I wouldn't be able to say, oh, that looks like an NHL 21 as opposed to an NHL 24. I think the last one I got was, I'm going to say NHL 23 because Trevor Zegras was on the cover. Maybe 24, but whichever one had Trevor Zegras on the cover, I got that one because when else is a Duck player going to be on the cover of the game?
We people who have consumed this show for some time probably know that you and I are a fan of mascots. Did you
Yes.
see we almost had a mascot tragedy this recently?
Yes. And I have high praise for Bowie, the Seattle Kraken mascot, who stayed in character, did not speak.
Well, was there audio to
Yeah,
know?
there was
Okay, there
audio.
was.
And he did not speak. For those that aren't aware, they were doing a photo shoot, a video shoot in the rivers around Seattle in
Actually,
northwestern.
actually, that's not true, and I was very surprised to see this. They were in Alaska.
They were in Alaska?
They were at and you're a national park guy, so maybe Katmai National Park.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say the budget for the promotional video is pretty high there in Seattle to take a flight up to Alaska and be in
Yeah.
the forest there or whatever, and
Yeah. Yeah.
just
If you're the
just to
guy,
shoot Bowie and it was John Hayden were fly fishing in a river.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. If you're the person that is in the Bowie costume and you get a call that says, we need you to do a video shoot for an off-season slice of life thing we're going to run. Okay. Yeah, here's the flight information. Flight? Where am I going? You're going up to National Park in Alaska. You're going to stand in a river while a player fly fishes. Okay. Sure enough. And then, so they're fly fishing on a river that is loaded with salmon. And who likes salmon? Bears. Who likes fresh water? Bears. And here comes a bear.
The Boston Bruins live mascot showed up.
Yeah, yeah, right. And it was, I don't think they were in any imminent danger. Like the bear was probably coming to go fishing. Certainly did not want them in his waters, its waters, but I don't think it was looking at them as prey, but it certainly chased them off and
Oh.
started charging at one point. And
Bowie
you got
looks
to think
quite
that,
delicious. I don't know.
yeah, you got to think, well, he's probably like, what in the hell is that thing?
I
Coming to
wonder
get
what
a
that
little,
tastes like.
yeah, it smells like piss. I could tell you that because the guy pissed himself in there. I certainly would have. If you're looking at a little thing, you know, you don't have great mobility, and
Yeah.
a bear's charging at you, and I'm in a river. God help me. So,
Well, if he's going to do number one, he's probably going to do number two as well.
yeah, no, they need a
Uh,
new buoy suit. It was the video is available online if you look it up. Kraken mascot bear. But that was something, and that is they need to take better. And I don't know what they had behind the cameras, or you know what I mean. Like, did they have somebody with a tranquilizer dart or something ready to go if something happened, or were they not prepared for nature when you
well,
go out into nature?
if they're shooting in a national park, I got to believe there were some park rangers there to make sure they weren't doing anything they weren't supposed to be doing, right? So
Yeah.
I'm sure they had to clear it, with the folks. I don't think they just went out there and said, "This looks like a nice spot."
No, I'm sure they got clearance to shoot, but I don't know that a ranger was necessarily with them. Though you might think a ranger might think this would be a cool thing to tag along with. But yeah, they obviously got permission. But yeah, it could have been horrific. My goodness, if
Have you have you ever seen those viral videos of the idiots? And I don't know what this was about. I'm guessing it was for like a game show or something where they would dress up like a zebra, like the old traditional where the two guys would be the legs and they would be a horse, like
right,
back in the old days. These two guys were in a zebra outfit and they were out in the wild where these lions were. And the lions, were like, okay, yeah, we'll eat this weird moving zebra.
yeah,
And they ended up, like, one of the lions ended up taking the head off and running off with the stuffed head of this mascot type thing. And that's one where I'm like,
well,
if something
that's
happens to those guys, I have no sympathy whatsoever.
no, of course not. That's a
Some
Darwin
contest or
Award.
something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you're too stupid to breed. We don't need to see what's next. You know, your family tree can end right there if you're dumb enough to walk out. It's like the people that jump into the cages or the areas of a zoo, with a tiger or something because they want to get a better picture or something. Like, you deserve what you get at that point. They're still wild animals. So yeah, I have not seen that, but that is incredibly stupid and dangerous. I
Yeah.
like the people that think they're in a national park. Oh, I'm going to go up to this buffalo and get a better picture or go pet it.
Yeah.
I mean, you get what you get at that point. When that thing throws you and they're way over a ton, that's on you.
You might remember the comedian, I do not, but there was a funny bit about him talking about, back in the day, things were different where he'd go to the fair and there was a thing where you could like get in a boxing ring with a bear or something like that, or some donkey would jump off a high dive into a pool.
Right.
Things
Right.
like these, like that's that wouldn't go anymore. But back in the day, we thought, yeah, I'd like to see that donkey jump off that high dive.
Right. 100%. I don't remember the comedian, but yeah, things were very different and not that long ago.
Right.
Like I grew up
And who
where
knows, in certain
Irvine.
parts of the world, maybe it is still
A
going
hundred
on.
percent. When I grew up, Irvine, what parts of Irvine right now, where the Great Park, the Ducks training facility is, and housing developments and all kinds of things now, was wild country safari. And you drove through there in your car, and they had loose wild animals from the African plains walking around, and they just trusted you to not get out of the car, to not be an idiot. And we did because we didn't want to die, but you just drove through. And I remember distinctly being in my parents' VW Bug, and a giraffe was standing on one side of the car and its head was looking at us through the window on the other side of the car. And I was fascinated as a child. And but yeah, you just drove through and there were lions and water buffalo and zebra and all kinds of African animals That would never go now. My God. Although I will say, now that I think about it, when when I was driving Route 66, Jackie and I stopped off at a place called Bearizona, and it was exactly that. I think they had some bears, but it was mainly much more docile animals. There was nothing really carnivorous, but there were animals walking around that were you kind of drove through, and it was interesting. It was fun. We had to wait quite a while for the buffalo to get out of the road because they were blocking it and you couldn't do anything about it. I'm not going to honk or get out of the car and, hey, let's go. But eventually they moved and we continued on. So I guess it does kind of exist, but not in the same, not with lions. That I remember there's video of like lions getting in the back bed of somebody's pickup truck back in the day, because that's what they usually fed the lions out of. The guy would go through the back with the pickup truck through the and throw the food out there. So they thought this is food. So they jumped into the back bed of a guy's pickup truck, and the person behind him had the 8mm video. But yeah,
Apparently
those days are long gone.
Apparently, back in the day where I live here, there was a poor man's SeaWorld that was not far from where we live called Marineland. That was just up the way that closed down before I was around here. But my wife has told me about Marineland. It used to be right down the road here.
Is that not? They just had Marines there, though, right?
Yes. It was just a place for them to go hang out. Off duty.
Yeah, shore leave.
Yeah.
Single ladies would go to meet up with them.
I'm sure. Did you see we're having some mammoth on mammoth crime? There is a lawsuit that has been filed by the Utah Mammoth against the Mammoth Hockey Company. Apparently, Mammoth Hockey creates hockey bags and have for a while. 2014 was when they started manufacturing hockey bags for hockey equipment. And I was surprised to see that the Utah Mammoth filed this lawsuit, but they said that the Utah Mammoth and the NHL strongly believe that they have the right to use the name Utah Mammoth under federal and state law, and that our use will not harm the defendant or its business in any way, end quote. So the Oregon-based Mammoth Hockey has issued a cease and desist letter to the NHL team asking them to no longer be called the Utah Mammoth. So I'm guessing that's not going to go well, but we'll see.
No, I would think just continue to exist and be happy that there's more searches for Mammoth Hockey.
So I guess Mammoth Hockey is not big enough like the Yeti brand, right? Because remember they were going to be the Yeti, but the Yeti brand.
No, Yeti can afford better lawyers.
I'm sure that's true.
Yeah, they have a corporate headquarters. I'm guessing the Mammoth Hockey Bag Company is a little bit smaller and a little bit more mom and pop operated. And no, they could, just like I said, just coexist. I'm glad that they're not trying to shut down the bag company. And if anything, if I was the Mammoth Bag Company, I'd be like, how can we be the official bag provider of the Utah Mammoth Hockey Club?
Make it a nice story, right? For both sides, sure.
Right.
Work it out, everybody. Was there any other hockey notes that you saw this week that maybe I failed to mention?
I did not see anything of note. No, so I think you've covered it all and then some.
All right. Well, then that'll do it for the first period and for our YouTube show. If you enjoyed it and you want to hear more, we've got a lot more coming up, including looking at 4 NHL teams and what their rosters would look like if they were populated with active players that they drafted. We also got some fun things to share in the third period of our podcast with listener emails and more. If you want to check that out, search for the Puck Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcast. If you are already listening to the podcast, the second and third periods are coming right up. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm Eddie Garcia. He's Doug Stolhand. We'll talk to you next week with another edition of the Puck Podcast.